I really didn't want to do this. But when people attack us, we have to respond. Now, to prove how long we have been dealing with the same issue and the same antagonists, and when we present the facts to these same antagonists, they never deal or address the facts. Never. They just run from it. Always. And that just proves that they are, I could say hypocrites, I could say frauds, but I shall say disingenuous. In 2015, we made a video titled Canaanland Moors Addressing the Conscious Contradictions, a 1 hour 49-minute video of straight facts that Mr. Sara Suten Seti and the quote-unquote conscious community never addressed. Why? Because they couldn't. And so, again, in 2016, we made a video titled Canaanland Moors, 5 vids and 2 readings the quote-unquote conscious community will never address. A 28-minute video of straight facts from Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark that Mr. Sara Suten Seti and the quote-unquote conscious community never addressed. Why? Because they couldn't. And so, once again, yet again, in 2016, we made another video titled Canaanland Moors, Stop Challenging Moors and Challenge Dr. Ben. A 17-minute, 6-second video of straight facts from Dr. Ben that Mr. Sara Suten Seti and the other quote-unquote Moor bashers never addressed. Why? Yep, you guessed it, because they couldn't. And so, once again, in 2016, we made a third video titled Canaanland Moors, Addressing AmenRa Squad with Dr. Ben, a 51-minute, 55-second video of straight facts from Dr. Ben that Mr. Sara Suten Seti and the AmenRa Squad and other quote-unquote Moor bashers never addressed. Why? By now, y'all know why. And so, once again, And that last video to the AmenRa squad was the most thorough. Still, from their side, and now enters young Pharaoh. An energetic young brother with an ego on 10,000. He teams up with Mr. Sara Suten Seti and then decides to attack everyone recently attacking us Moors. Presenting what he would call quote-unquote facts. However, a lot of what he is saying is, I would say, incomplete. Yet, you gotta love his energy and self-confidence. But we have a bigger issue here than young Pharaoh, and that is Mr. Sara Suten Seti. Number one, he and his quote-unquote Moor bashing friends never addressed the previous 4 videos we put up with Dr. Ben in them. Yet, he is still coming with more quote-unquote Moor bashing videos. But even more curious is, young Pharaoh disrespected all Muslims, saying that he wants to destroy Orthodox Islam, and he disrespected Masons. Yet, Mr. Sara Suten Seti keeps saying that his master teachers were Dr. Ben and Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So, check the sellout. Dr. Ben was a Mason, and Dr. Khalid Muhammad was a Muslim.
Muslim? Are you a Muslim, Khalid? Yes, I am.
On top of that, Dr. Ben said, we were calling ourselves Moors. By him saying quote-unquote we, he included himself.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors. We were calling ourselves Moors. We were calling ourselves Moors.
And Dr. Khalid Muhammad said he was a Moor, emphatically.
But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor. And got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. I would tell you, God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Ain't no Moor. So if I say it, I mean it. And if I mean it, generally, I say it.
So why is Mr. Sara Suten Seti selling out his deceased master teachers, allowing young Pharaoh to disrespect them like that? And yes, it is disrespect, because Mr. Sara Suten Seti would never let that happen if Dr. Ben and Dr. Khalid Muhammad were alive. Mr. Sara Suten Seti would never be caught hanging around with and supporting someone that is disrespecting his master teachers if they were still alive. Never. That is some sellout behavior right there. I mean, that is like one of Mr. Sara Suten Seti's beloved family members being, say, a truck driver, and young Pharaoh saying something extremely offensive about truck drivers, then turns to Mr. Sara Suten Seti and says, no offense. And Mr. Sara Suten Seti letting that fly. So that is one of the questions we will pose throughout this video. Why are you selling out your deceased master teachers by allowing young Pharaoh to disrespect them, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? And why are you misrepresenting them at the same time? Why? Shame on you. Anyway, this is the last video dealing with these quote-unquote Moor bashers. Until you quote-unquote Moor bashers rebuttal any of the last 4 Dr. Ben videos that we put up and come with literature from another PhD in Moorish history refuting what Dr. Ben said in his literature, you all are fraudulent. Period. And from that point on, you all can keep being fraudulent. We don't care. So in this video, we will address young Pharaoh's and Mr. Sara Suten Seti's contradictions and misinformation that these brothers are putting out. And we shall only use clips from the videos I mentioned earlier, as well as a few of the Common Sense Quickies, namely number 3 and number 27 that we recently put up.
And here we go.
Recently, on Mr. Sara Suten Seti's page, he was trying to clown the Moorish 101 questionnaire, number 57, where it speaks about us being Asiatic. And he starts laughing and goes into the definition of the quote-unquote IC suffix, stating that quote-unquote IC added to a word makes it an adjective, and it is Greek in origin. Take a listen for yourself.
They're not Asians. They're Asiatic. Okay, I got this right here. TIC, a suffix equivalent in meaning to IC, occurring in adjectives of Greek origin. Analytical. You see, I use the TIC. You use especially in the formation of adjectives from noun which stem in ISIS. Neurotic. See, neurotic. Asiatic. That's a Greek. Any word ending in TIC is Greek. Is Greek. Is Greek. I'm going to read it again. TIC, a suffix equivalent in meaning to IC, occurring in adjectives of Greek origin.
This is so easy to deal with, whether or not adding the suffix IC to a word makes it Greek. First off, let's go to Dr. Ben's Black Man of the Nile and his family and go to the glossary section on page 75, where we find the definition for Africa. The definition of Africa, according to Dr. Ben, a Greek and Roman name given to the continent originally called Alkebulan by its indigenous peoples. Other names which the early Europeans used for this continent are Corphi, Amonis, Ortegvia, Ethiopia, Libya, Oceania, etc. Well. What do we have here? Turns out, according to Dr. Ben, Africa is a Greek and Roman name given to the continent, and the continent was originally called Alkebulan by its indigenous peoples. This is really interesting, because Mr. Sara Suten Seti was just clowning the title Asiatic, saying that when you add the suffix IC to a word, it becomes a Greek word. But Mr. Sara Suten Seti keeps calling himself an African, when Dr. Ben said African is a Greek and Roman name. Well, in the immortal words of Capone Noriega, here's some more irony for you. In Dr. Ben's description of Africa, he says that originally the continent was called Alkebulan by its indigenous peoples. So why doesn't Mr. Sara Suten Seti call himself Alkebulanian rather than African? I mean, dang, how many ways can you spell hypocrisy? And second, Let's listen to what Mr. Sara Suten Seti's master teacher, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, said about being Asiatic.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Hold up. Did he just say what I think he just said?
Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Yep, he sure did. Oh, and shout out to Mad Black Man 33 for having this part of this video, because in the original complete video, this part was conveniently removed. Now let's see if Dr. Khalid Muhammad says anything negative about Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Huh? Prophet Noble Drew Ali taught us about the caving. And he taught us that we are the Asiatic people.
Interesting. So Dr. Khalid Muhammad did not say anything negative about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I guess that means that Dr. Khalid Muhammad was all right with the Prophet's teachings.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Huh? Prophet Noble Drew Ali taught us about the caving. And he taught us that we are the Asiatic people. Master Pharaoh Muhammad, coming behind that, strongly taught it to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that we are the Asiatics. We have people now that want to fight us, attack us. Say, you mean you become so degenerate and so sick until you will call yourself an Asiatic?
Sounds like he's speaking about you, Mr. Sara Suten Seti.
We have people now that want to fight us, attack us. Say, you mean you become so degenerate and so sick until you will call yourself an Asiatic instead of an African? Well, I use African just for communication. But our lessons ask the question, why? Why what? One of my 5%ers that's in the Panther Party. Why what? Why does the devil call us Africans? And it goes on to say, let's look at it, brothers and sisters. Brother Henry touched on it last night. Do you know that one time the whole earth was called Asia?
Hold up. Did he just say what I think he just said?
Do you know that one time the whole earth was called Asia?
Yep, he sure did.
Do you know that one time the whole earth was called Asia? North Asia, South Asia, East Asia, West Asia. When we say Asiatic, we're not talking about a little continent. When we say Asiatic, we're not talking about a little continent. When we say Asiatic, we're not talking about a little continent. We're not stuck on some little so-called Arabs riding some camels. And so we so stuck on them, we just got stuck on stupid. And so we so stuck on them, we just got stuck on stupid. And so we so stuck on them, we just got stuck on stupid. And so we so stuck on them, we just got stuck on stupid. And we started saying Asiatic. We're not talking about a continent. We're talking about when the land mass of what is called planet Earth was different. Huh?
That's right.
Even Saudi Arabia. Let's cover another point here before we finish Asiatic. Saudi Arabia, Israel, Mecca, Medina, all of that is in what is called Africa today. Egypt. Look at Egypt on the map, and the white man want to tell you it's not in Africa. It's in the Middle East. There is no Middle East. No Middle East. Absolutely not. The Middle East is nothing but a man-made ditch separated from the mainland of Africa by what is called the Suez Canal. All of it is northeast, what is called Africa today. All of it. Look at it for what it's worth, brothers and sisters. But at one time, the whole planet, look at South America and what is called Africa today. Cut them out and you can fit them together like a puzzle piece. The planet Earth was different, as it is called today. It had a different landmass. We're called Asiatics, again, not because of a continent, because at one time the whole planet was called Asia. We're called Asiatics, again, not because of a continent, because at one time the whole planet was called Asia. We're called Asiatics, again, not because of a continent, because at one time the whole planet was called Asia. We're called Asiatics, again, not because of a continent, because at one time the whole planet was called Asia. We're called Asiatics, again, not because of a continent, because at one time the whole planet was called Asia. You just want to claim a spot or the whole thing? You just want to claim a spot or the whole thing? You just want to claim a spot or the whole thing? Africa is not our home. Let me let that hang in the atmosphere for a while. Africa is not our home. Let me let that hang in the atmosphere for a while. Africa is not our home. Let me let that hang in the atmosphere for a while. I said at this gathering of the masters, Africa is not your home. I said at this gathering of the masters, Africa is not your home. I said at this gathering of the masters, Africa is not your home, is not our home. Africa, as it is called today, is our throne. Africa, as it is called today, is our throne. Africa, as it is called today, is our throne. And from that throne, we ruled our home, which is 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth, and 76 quintillion miles throughout the distance of the diameter and the sphere of light of the diameter of the universe.
So there you have it. Dr. Khalid Muhammad, one of Mr. Sara Suten Seti's master teachers, said we are called Asiatic because at one time the entire planet was called Asia. Simple, isn't it? Unfortunately for some, it is not that simple. So why is Mr. Sara Suten Seti trying to clown and sell out his own master teacher, Dr. Khalid Muhammad's teachings? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. But wait, it gets better. He then tries to clown the Moorish 101 questionnaire number 62, where it speaks about, quote-unquote, olive being the color of the angel's skin. And he starts laughing and prompts his listeners to Google olive skin. Take a listen for yourself.
Starting at number 6. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away? Angels. Number 61. What is the modern name for these angels? Asiatics. What is the shade of their skin? Olive. Now what I want you to do, we're doing research, on the spot research today. I want you to Google olive skin and tell me what, and go to images. Go to images. And tell me what you see. And tell, and I want, if I'm alive, I want you to come on here and tell me, Seti, you lie. I want my family to come on here right now and tell me that I'm lying. Come on now, do it right. Go down images. damn blood he ought not have. That been poisoned. If his skin is green. If your skin is green, you need to report to the nearest emergency room. Because you've been poisoned. So when you see that's white people. That's all that it is. That's a Greek, Mediterranean, Turkish person that they worship.
Alright, so let's look up olive skin and see what we find. Okay. Olive skin. Let's see what we find. Click on images. Scroll down a bit. Oh look, there's Rihanna in the corner. All right, let's click on this one and see what it says. Do Italians tend to have olive skin? Nah, let's close that up. Let's choose something different. Let's go back to the top and choose, say, this one. The best foundations for olive skin tones. Yeah, let's check that out. Okay. Yeah. Wait a second. Yeah. Olive skin. Olive skin.
So when you see that's white people. That's all that it is. That's a Greek, Mediterranean, Turkish person that they worship. Man, listen, this better than Netflix. This better than Netflix, baby. Do you hear what I'm saying? This better than World Star. This right here is the
Straight from the horse's mouth. Priceless. And people actually take this guy seriously? This is why it says olive skin. Olives come in many different shades, as you can see. Do you not see your skin shade in these olives? Now let's get to Mr. Sara Suten Seti's other master teacher, Dr. Ben. So first off, let's get a few preliminaries out the way. Who is Dr. Ben?
Good evening, everyone. I was a bit taken back at this short introduction. I was beginning to relax, and he said, Fred P. Paris, so here I am. My function this evening is rather pleasurable in that my life has been spared to be able to introduce a noted lecturer, Dr. Joseph Ben Yackerman, who was educated in Brazil, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. He received his doctorate in cultural anthropology in Cuba and a second doctorate in Moorish history in Spain, in addition to a law degree.
Hold up. Did he just say what I think he just said?
He received his doctorate in cultural anthropology in Cuba and a second doctorate in Moorish history in Spain, in addition to a law degree.
Yep, he sure did.
He is also an architect. His vocations have been as varied as his academic experiences. For example, he practiced law and he was a civil engineer in Puerto Rico. And the next voice you will hear is that of the notable Dr. Joseph A. Ben Yacoban. Please stand.
Most worshipful Grandmaster, your officers.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, just to recap, Dr. Ben is the only scholar that has a doctorate in Moorish history. A doctorate is the highest level of education one can attain. So technically speaking, Dr. Ben is the only scholar who is qualified to talk about Moorish history and Moors. Not this guy, or this guy, or this guy, or this guy, etc. And definitely not this guy, and definitely not this guy. Whew, that was a long setup. Alright, so let's see what Dr. Ben says about Moors in his book Cultural Genocide in the Black and African Studies curriculum. Let's go to page 15 and see what he says. It says, certainly the African American children's hero that led their African ancestors, the Moors, into Iberia was none other than the illustrious General Tariq, the man in whose honor the Rock of Gibraltar is so named. So right there in black and white, Dr. Ben says the African American children's African ancestors are Moors. And if your ancestors are Moors, that makes you a Moor. So why, Mr. Sara Suten Seti, are you condoning young Pharaoh's disrespect of Dr. Ben's teachings? Conveniently, we might add, now that Dr. Ben has transitioned. I mean, you would not allow young Pharaoh to do that if Dr. Ben was still alive, would you, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? That is some sellout behavior right there. Oh, and being that Moors are known to be from North Africa and Northwest Africa, and if quote-unquote African Americans are Moors, according to Dr. Ben, don't you think Dr. Ben was sending quote-unquote African Americans a direct message on the cover of Cultural Genocide when he placed the United States map within North Africa and Northwest Africa? Let's go to Dr. Ben's Black Man of the Nile and his family and go to page 332. It reads, in analyzing this aspect of the indigenous Africans of North and East Africa's high culture, particular its zenith, one has to remember that a later group of indigenous Africans of Northwest Alkebulan (Africa), called Moors, have preserved much of their ancestors' teachings in the works confiscated by the Greeks and Romans from the Egyptian and Nubian mysteries system, which European and European American educators and others very much later have notoriously misnomered Greek philosophy. So what can we decipher from this? Point 1. Alkebulan is another name for Africa. Point 2. Moors have preserved much of their ancestors' teachings in the Egyptian and Nubian mysteries systems. And point 3, the Greeks and Romans confiscated the Moors' ancestors' teachings from the Egyptian and Nubian mystery systems. Now here's something to consider. When Dr. Ben writes, Moors have preserved much of their ancestors' teachings, whose ancestors' teachings is he referring to? Does he mean the ancestors of the Moors? Or the ancestors of the North and East Africans' high culture? Fact is, it does not even matter, because either way you look at it, both of their ancestors' teachings were preserved together in the Egyptian and Nubian mysteries system, according to Dr. Ben. So let's find out what relationship the Moors had with the Egyptians and Nubians. Let's check out what Dr. Ben says on the very next page, 333. African Moors, not Arab Moors. Extensive knowledge of ancient Egypt and Nubia was due to their constant cultural exchanges with their Northeast African brothers and sisters through the diplomatic relationship which existed between both groups. Wait a second. Their constant cultural exchanges with their North African brothers and sisters through the diplomatic relationship which existed between both groups? So according to Dr. Ben, the relationship between African Moors and Kemet was like... And the relationship between African Moors and Kemet and Nubia was like... So why are you misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there. But hey, it gets even better. Right below that first highlighted area, Dr. Ben goes further to explain that it was the Arab Muslim invaders that stole the teachings from Egypt. See for yourself. It reads, many of the works the Moors recorded were unknown to the Greeks and Romans. Most of them were stolen from Egypt and Nubia by Arab Muslim invaders who also sacked the depositories of learning of the Nile Valley high culture, as did their predecessors from Persia, Assyria, Greece, and Rome. So, wait a second. Why, Mr. Sara Suten Seti, do you keep misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature by putting out the general message that Moors stole from Egypt, never specifying which Moors stole from Egypt? And Dr. Ben clearly states that it was the Arab Muslim invaders that stole from Egypt and Nubia, not the African Moors. So why are you misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there. And common sense should tell you that if it was the Arab Muslims that stole from Egypt and Nubia and sacked the depositories of learning of the Nile Valley high culture, according to Dr. Ben, it must have been the Arab Muslims, not the African Moors, that sacked the depositories of learning of the University of Genève in ancient Ghana, destroying it in the process. And this is after we fell in Spain. So, ask yourself this question. Why would African Moors destroy the University of Genet in ancient Ghana, a university that they built, when that wasn't in their nature? Yet the Arab Moors had a history of doing this with Egypt.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. From 711 until 1485, 774 years, when we built and brought into Europe the university system, building the University of Salamanca, S-A-L-A-M-A-N-C-A in Spain, a copy of the University of Genet from ancient Ghana, which was equally a copy of the University of Sankore in Tombouctou, which the French later called Timbuktu.
Let's read a bit further down. It reads, "It should be also noted that a number of medieval European scientists and members of other disciplines, such as Copernicus, Roger Bacon, and Johann Kepler, received much of their basic understanding from the researches they made when they became in contact with the original treatises on science which the Africans of Northeast and North Africa originated and developed, and from works which the Moors introduced to the Europeans when they entered the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, southern France, in around 711 CE, under the command of the African general Tariq, for whom the Rock of Gibraltar is named. True, the Arab Moors and Berber Moors also contributed in this respect to the Europeans, but they followed the African Moors." Well, 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 what do we have here? Turns out that General Tariq was an African, not a Berber or an Arab. It also turns out that there were African Moors, Arab Moors, and Berber Moors, and that it was the African Moors that first entered the Iberian Peninsula. So how come Mr. Sara Suten Seti constantly says that the African Moors only followed what the Arabs did when Dr. Ben says otherwise? So why are you misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there. Let's move on to the very next page, page 334, and read what Dr. Ben says about Islam, the religion. It reads, "Many have confused the Moors' religion, Islam, as being synonymous to Arab people as a physical group. There were two groupings of Moors, the Africans, who were the first to conquer the Iberian Peninsula in around 711 CE or AD 89 AH with General Tariq, and the Asian Moors who followed them 12 years later in around 723 CE or 101 AH, the year after the Hegira or Hejira." So wait a second, how come you constantly say that Islam is an Arab religion, Mr. Sara Suten Seti, when Dr. Ben says that is not the case? So why are you misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there.
Come on, son.
Now let's go to Dr. Ben's book, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, and go to page 480. It reads, "It must be remembered that the father of European history, Herodotus, described the originators of the mysteries system as being similar to any of the people called Negroes in the United States of America, or Bantus in the African continent, even those later on called Moors, fit this description. Now this is extremely interesting. Dr. Ben states that even the father of European history says the originators of the mysteries system are similar to the people called Negroes in the United States of America or Bantus in the African continent, even those later on called Moors. Bantus are Moors? That falls in line with what this African scholar was saying in this interview.
Seven different groups, which are called subculture groups, and Europeans call them tribes, have the same linkage, come from the same ancestor. You could link them actually, just like I tried to show in the article about ancient Ngana. If you could see in ancient Ngana, all the so-called tribes, most of them can be traced back to the connection between the Moors and the Hausas. To be sincere with you, the Moors identify themselves, first of all, as Bantu Ethiopians. The Moors identify themselves, first of all, as Bantu Ethiopians. The Moors identify themselves, first of all, as Bantu Ethiopians. And secondly, the Moors are dispersed group of Azania. They are found in Ethiopia, if you want it that way. They are found in Ethiopia. They are also found in Nubia. They are also found in Ngana today. Some of them may even be found as far south as Ngangula province. But the Moors, if you study their history very closely, they are mentioned also in the biblical narrative. They are actually in the biblical narrative referred to as Moabites. The Moors, if you study their history very closely, they are mentioned also in the biblical narrative. They are actually in the biblical narrative referred to as Moabites. The Moors, if you study their history very closely, they are mentioned also in the biblical narrative. They are actually in the biblical narrative referred to as Moabites. The Moors, if you study their history very closely, they are mentioned also in the biblical narrative. They are actually in the biblical narrative referred to as Moabites. They were the inhabitants of Canaan.
So, Dr. Ben just said that Negroes of the United States of America, Bantus of Africa, and Moors are all the same people, which means that the so-called Negroes of the United States of America and Moors are the same people, which means that the so-called Negroes of the United States of America are Moors, according to Dr. Ben. Now let's go to page 546. It reads, Western historians continually try to impress everyone that the Moors were an Arab people, carefully forgetting that they were two types of Moors. The African Moors, the first to enter Iberia in 711 CE with Tariq. There were amalgamated African Asian Moors, the offsprings of African and Asian Muslims. The Asians, originally from Arabia and other areas around the Fertile Crescent, entered Iberia 12 years, 723 CE, later. So according to Dr. Ben, there were amalgamated African Asian Moors, the offspring of African and Asian Muslims. The Asians were originally from Arabia and other areas around the Fertile Crescent. So, Dr. Ben, who has a doctorate in Moorish history, the highest level of education in Moorish history, states in numerous literature that we are Moors. Yet, Mr. Sara Suten Seti keeps disrespecting Moors and thus disrespecting Dr. Ben. But wait, I know what you are going to say. He is not disrespecting Dr. Ben. He is banging on the Moors. Well, let's hear what Dr. Ben says out of his own mouth.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors. M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Hold up. Did he just say what I think he just said?
We were calling ourselves Moors. M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Yep, he sure did.
We were calling ourselves Moors. M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Oh, and notice he said, after we lost power in Spain. We were calling ourselves Moors. By him saying we, he is including himself.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors. M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
So, by Mr. Sara Suten Seti, quote-unquote, banging on the Moors, he is banging on Dr. Ben, because Dr. Ben said we when he was speaking about Moors. Period. And Mr. Sara Suten Seti is allowing young Pharaoh to bang on Dr. Ben also. But it does not stop there. Mr. Sara Suten Seti is disrespecting and banging on Dr. Khalid Muhammad as well, because Dr. Khalid Muhammad said,
I'm a man. I understand that nationality is the order of the day. I understand that. I'm a Moor. I understand that nationality is the order of the day. I understand that. I'm a Moor. I understand that nationality is the order of the day. I understand that. Muslim. You a Muslim, Khalid? Yes, I am. But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor and got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. I tell you, goddammit, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No more. So if I say it, I mean it. If I mean it, generally, I say it.
So, by Mr. Sara Suten Seti, quote-unquote, banging on the Moors, he is banging on Dr. Khalid Muhammad because Dr. Khalid Muhammad said he is a Moor. Period. And Mr. Sara Suten Seti is allowing young Pharaoh to quote-unquote bang on Dr. Khalid Muhammad also, because not only did Dr. Khalid Muhammad say he is a Moor, but he also said he is a Muslim. Period. So why are you disrespecting your master teachers and allowing young Pharaoh to also disrespect your master teachers, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that they have transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there. Because we are willing to bet that had Dr. Ben and Dr. Khalid Muhammad still been alive today, there is no way you would condone and support young Pharaoh in the disrespect of Dr. Ben and Dr. Khalid Muhammad. That is, of course, if you love and respect your master teachers as much as you claim. Are we incorrect? So the next time anyone sees Mr. Sara Suten Seti, ask him, so why are you misrepresenting your master teacher Dr. Ben's literature, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. And the next time Mr. Sara Suten Seti tries to bang on the Moors, ask him, why are you banging on Dr. Ben and Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Why? Conveniently, we might add, now that they have transitioned. Oh, and check even more hypocrisy. Mr. Sara Suten Seti and other quote-unquote Moor bashers constantly say that it was Moors who sold the other Africans out. Yet what Mr. Sara Suten Seti is doing to his deceased master teachers today is what he claims the Moors did to the other Africans hundreds of years ago. Anyway, with all the information that was shown here, that refutes everything that Mr. Sara Suten Seti said about Moors, all this information coming from the only scholar with a PhD in Moorish history and who is Mr. Sara Suten Seti's master teacher, the next time Mr. Sara Suten Seti has a lecture bashing Moors and that contradicts what Dr. Ben says, save your money. Or, if you decide to still go, do it for entertainment purposes only. Because it is clear that Mr. Sara Suten Seti is blatantly ignoring the Moorish information within his master teacher, Dr. Ben's literature. It is clearly blatant. And that just shows that Mr. Sara Suten Seti does not want the truth about Moors coming out. So, Mr. Sara Suten Seti, will you finally address this video with all of Dr. Ben's Moorish teachings in it? Or will you once again run from it? Now let's deal with young Pharaoh and him saying that Moor means something negative.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this, bro. Huh? Watch this. I'm about to cook on you boys. Now, Moors, okay, is always trying to tell you that black don't mean nothing and that you should stop calling yourself black because black is not a nationality, okay? Because black is not a nationality, right?
Hey, Mr. Sara Suten Seti, did you tell young Pharaoh that one of your master teachers, Dr. John Henrik Clark, said this?
We are a nation within a nation in this country searching for a nationality. And once we find our nationality and serve that nationality, we'll do for ourselves what needs to be done. All ethnic groups in this country understand they got a nationality because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and colored and black. Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and colored and black. Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and colored and black. 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 You have no nationality. Negro is not a nationality. Some lazy Portuguese or Spaniard took an adjective and made a noun out of it. Colored is not a nationality. Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
But it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
But it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
But it don't tell you who you are.
Right.
The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. And anytime you call a people by their right name, anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them back to land, history, and culture, you have called them out of their name. There's no black land or black hole. 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 There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of land, you think of nationality. You belong to something big in the world.
If not, why not? And if so, why are you allowing young Pharaoh to mock Dr. John Henrik Clarke's teachings, Mr. Sara Suten Seti? Conveniently, we might add, now that he has transitioned. That is some sellout behavior right there.
Now watch this. Watch me hit these. Watch me hit these with this word. Right? I want to show y'all something. Alright? Now, when you look up the basic definition, because I know you always want to go into legal definitions and all of that. No, we go into historical definitions. Watch this. Before it was a legal system.
Wow. I didn't know that Google gave historical definitions. I thought only unabridged dictionaries did that. Really, young Pharaoh? You are using Google for historical definitions? Really?
Okay, when you look up the basic definition of a Moor, you see it says a member of the southwestern African Muslim people of mixed Berber and Arab descent in the 8th century. Okay? Arab descent. Are you a Arab? Are you a Arab? Now look at here. See, this is where they try to trick you. It skipped over Latin. It don't tell you the Latin definition. It goes straight to Greek, from Greek to Old French to Moor. It skipped Latin.
Now here is something interesting. It has Greek before Latin. And in Greek, it is spelled M-A-U-R-O-S. So if Greek is before Latin, why would young Pharaoh look up the Latin meaning instead of looking up the Greek meaning when the Greek meaning came before the Latin? That makes absolutely no sense. When counting, doesn't one come before two? But you know what? For the sake of it, let's just go with what he's saying.
Now, why is this important? Every translation came through the Latin. Every single translation of every word came through the Latin, family. And so now why is this important? I went and got the Latin translation of the word Moor that they tried to emit from me. Now watch this. Just like Christian comes from the old French word Christian, which means a fool or stupid person, Moor comes from the Latin word moros, which means a stupid person or a heathen.
Now, young Pharaoh just showed you. Moros, M-A-U-R-O-S, is before the Latin translation. So why would you look up the Latin translation when Google is telling you the Greek came before the Latin translation? That makes absolutely no sense. If you want to find the true meaning of a word, you have to go back to when the word first originated and take that meaning. You do not go to the second translation and take that meaning. That makes absolutely no sense. But don't worry, check the curveball that's coming in the 9th inning.
And it was a derogatory term used by Europeans and Germans to speak down on black people.
Well, if young Pharaoh actually left Google and traveled to Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Italy, etc., he would see that that statement is not true. Want proof? Just check the next clip. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickies. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try? Recently, in our comment sections, we have been getting comments from certain individuals saying that, quote, we are not Moors, end quote, and that, quote, we have an identity crisis, end quote. Well, to all those that made those comments, I tell you what, go to Germany and go to Nuremberg and go to the Moors pharmacy and tell them to change their company logo. This pharmacy was established in 1442. And when the Volksfest comes around in September, go to the ice cream stand with the name Ice Moor, meaning more ice cream, and tell them to change their logo. And while you're at it, make a stop in Bamberg and go to the Moor's House tea shop and tell the owner that his logo is wrong. And go to Regensburg and stop at the Moors pharmacy there and tell them to change their logo too. Theirs was established in 1517. Don't forget to go to Halle, Germany, and tell them to remove the statue of the Moor they have on top of their Moors pharmacy. And don't forget to go to the Moors pharmacy in Bergheim, Germany, and the Moors pharmacy in Sarstedt, Germany. Matter of fact, just Google Mohren Apotheker, and all the logos that you find, mark down the cities and go to each one and complain. Oh, but wait, there is more. Go to Huttwil, Switzerland, and tell them to remove the logo they have for their Moors hotel. Oh, and in case you can't read German, the translation is, the Moors will become the little princes. It says Huttwil. Now it is definitive. The Moors Hotel restaurant will receive 2 new names. The Little Prince Hotel and Restaurant of the Moorish King. Staying in Switzerland, go to the city center in Schaffhausen, where they have a King Caspar statue fountain that is called Moor's Fountain, and tell them not to call it Moor's Fountain because King Caspar is not a Moor. Oh wait, there's still more. Contact Edward Charlemont. You know, the one that made the painting called The Moorish Chief. And tell him that the guy he painted is not a Moor. Oh wait, it was painted back in 1878. Well, I guess you can contact his family and complain, or organize a boycott of the museum that has the painting until they put a note beside the painting saying, not a real Moor. Let's see. Oh, you gotta stop the Riedlinger Moor Festival. Oh, and then there is the Sarati Moor for Sarati chocolates. Gotta contact them too. And then there's the Mohrenbrau Beer Company in Austria. You gotta shut them down too. And that's just 3 countries in Europe. Dang. And we didn't even get to the Moorish coat of arms images for European families, or all the priceless Moorish jewelry depicting us as royalty. So you all have a lot of work to do. Instead of commenting on here, maybe you should start writing some lengthy letters to these organizations. I don't know if you all know each other, but maybe you can band together to spread out the workload. Good luck with that. Common sense was made before book sense. Okay, young Pharaoh. So I guess all those businesses in Germany and Switzerland and Austria, etc., with the title Moor attached to it, are all saying that their businesses are heathens? Or what? All those businesses are talking down on their own businesses? Or this pic of a logo for this Austrian coffee company, a pic that I took with my own camera in 2017, their slogan being Café del Moro. So young Pharaoh, you are saying that their slogan means coffee of the heathens or coffee of the stupid people? So young Pharaoh, please explain why all these European companies are using the word Moor in their title if the word Moor means heathens or stupid. We'll wait.
Nah, and so bitch, I'd rather be black.
So you'd rather be black? Really? Did you happen to look up the etymology of black? If not, here it is. We made a video about this topic last year. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickies. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try? Brace yourselves for black, according to science, means death. This one little sentence that Prophet Noble Jew Ali said back in the 1920s has caused a lot of fervor amongst our community. To prove this statement, some people have debated showing pictures of people with black boils on their dead bodies. Some have stated that people in Africa wear black to funerals. Some Moors have even stated that Prophet Noble Jew Ali was speaking about, quote, the science that treats positive law, end quote. Well, for some, that may still be a bit of a stretch. So being that many claim to be scholars, what if we use the quote-unquote science of etymology? Using etymology, which means, quote, the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history, end quote. Black, etymologically, actually means pale. This is from Webster's Dictionary from 1893. Oh, and just to prove that I have the actual physical book, Webster's Unabridged Dictionary. It's old as hell. There it is. American Dictionary of the English Language, 1893. And we'll go to black. And that's where I took it from. Black, A for adjective, sax, black, and black, pale, wan, livid, etc. To become pale, to turn white, to become black. That's where I took it from. So I have the physical book. So if the etymology of black means pale and to become pale, what happens upon death? The body loses life, the blood stops flowing, and the body becomes pale. All people become pale upon death. Even the European loses the pinkness in their skin upon death and become even more pale. Or should I say, becomes black, being that black means pale. So, black, according to the science of etymology, means death. Common sense was made before book sense. So you are saying that you would rather be pale? Okay.
You be a stupid ass heathen. The fuck is you talking about? I'm going to the etymology right now, don't worry.
You did not go to the etymology of black though, when you said you would rather be black, did you?
Don't worry. Don't worry. Let's go. Watch this. Pull it up. Moro, right?
Sorry, young Pharaoh, but Moro, M-O-R-O, is not the etymology of Moor, M-O-O-R. Moor, M-A-U-R, is the etymology of Moor, M-O-O-R. If you want to choose the Latin etymology, it is Morus, M-A-U-R-U-S.
Moro. Spanish. Watch this. Moro. A Muslim inhabitant of the Philippines. Still ain't got to do with no Aboriginal in America at all. Now watch this. When you go to the word Moro, okay, it says in Spanish, it literally translates to Moor. Now when you go look up the etymology of the word Moro, right, here you go.
Interesting. Anyone notice, number one, it is spelled with a small m. Number two, there is a small accent above the O. So how could this be the same word as Moro in Spanish? But wait a second. Young Pharaoh is using a Bible Hub website for the etymology of Moor? I mean, at the very least, he could use an actual etymology website. Like, oh, I don't know, etymonline.com maybe? The thing is, once you go to the website and you type in Moor, capital M-O-O-R, you get 3 definitions for that Moor. One with a capital M, it's a noun, and then 2 with small m's. One's a verb and one's a noun. If you scroll down, there's Morisco, adjective, Moorland, Maurice, Moorish, etc. There's your Moro with a capital M. Second page, to unmoor, blackamoor, noun, etc. Morocco. So let's go to the third page as well to show you that we're not leaving anything out. Alright, that's the third page. So let's go back to the first page and click on Moor with the capital M. Now if we read the definition of Moor with the capital M, it says North African Berber, late 14th century, from Old French Moor, M-O-R-E with a capital M, from medieval Latin Morus with a capital M, M-O-R-U-S, from Latin Morus, M-A-U-R-U-S with a capital M, inhabitant of Mauritania, Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding to northern Algeria and Morocco, from Greek Moros, capital M-A-U-R-O-S, similar to the Morris that young Pharaoh showed in his Google search, perhaps a native name, or else cognate with Morris, small M-A-U-R-O-S, quote-unquote black. But this adjective only appears in late Greek and may as well be from the people's name as the reverse. Being a dark people in relation to Europeans, their name in the Middle Ages was a synonym for Negro, late 16th century to 17th century, used indiscriminately of Muslims, Persians, Arabs, etc., but especially those in India. Now correct me if I'm wrong. Nowhere in that definition do we see the adjective moros, M-O-R-O-S, with a small m and the accent over the O that young Pharaoh showed. Nowhere there. And it's nowhere to be found in the other definitions of Moor. So let's go to the word Moro, capital M-O-R-O, and see what that says. Now when we go to Moro, capital M-O-R-O, it says Muslim Malay of the Philippines, 1886, from Spanish Moro, capital M-O-R-O, literally Moor, capital M-O-O-R, and then it says see Moor. Nowhere do you find the word Moros, M-O-R-O-S, with an accent over the O, in this description. The only time you find the word Moros, M-O-R-O-S, is when you look up the word moron. And the meaning of moron is 1910 medical Latin from Greek Attic, moron, neuter of moros, M-O-R-O-S. And the meaning is foolish, dull, sluggish, and stupid. But of course, young Pharaoh is not going to tell you that because it doesn't fit his agenda. So rather than going to an actual etymology website or using an actual unabridged dictionary, he goes to a Bible Hub website and uses that instead.
Dull, stupid, foolish.
So if it means dull, stupid, and foolish, that means this word is an adjective and not a noun. So that means it describes and does not identify. It is not a noun, so it is not a person, place, or thing. But I know what you must be thinking. You're reaching. Young Pharaoh has you on the ropes. Well, remember that curveball I mentioned a while ago? Don't worry, it's coming.
Huh? Dull, stupid, foolish. I'ma read it again. Dull, stupid, foolish. Now, I'm not gonna give y'all all of my work right now. And so I'ma pause right there. I'ma pause right there because I got a lecture coming. I'ma pause right there. But family, go look it up for yourself. Go look it up for yourself. Now watch this. Now watch this. I'ma give you an example of the word being used in a negative connotation towards a black person. Because when I swear to God, when I looked this word up, the first thing that came to my head was the movie Black Knight with Martin. Because I remember when I was a kid and I was watching it. And I remember when that white knight had told Martin, he said, watch your tongue before I cut it out, you Moor. I'll never forget because I said that shit the next day around my cousin. And my older cousin was like, what you know about the Moors? And he started trying to break the knowledge down to me. But I was like, I don't know. They just said it in the movie. And so that being said, watch this. Watch this. This is going to show you that the word Moor is used in negative connotation towards black people. Watch this. Watch me work now. Shh. Quiet. 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 Watch this. Listen. Listen. Okay, now listen, I'm a narrator. I forgot his name in the movie, but this knight is about to come and sexually harass these women. And when he get to the black woman, he gonna call her a Nubian queen. And when Martin stand up for him sexually harassing her, he gonna call Martin a Moor in a negative connotation. Now, a lot of y'all might say, oh, you know, Moor means this, but Martin is the same skin complexion of the black woman being harassed.
No, he's not. Martin is 2 shades darker than the woman. See the video for yourself. But that's neither here nor there, so it doesn't matter.
So why you didn't call Martin a Nubian fool? Why you didn't put the word Nubian in front of the insult that would have came after it? Because the word Moor meant fool or stupid person. And he was referring to Martin Lawrence as a fool or stupid person for not minding his business. Now watch this.
Very nice.
Now watch. Now watch. Watch this. He about to sexually harass her. Watch this. Okay, he called her a Nubian queen. Let me run it back one more time.
See? Martin is 2 shades darker than the woman.
What the hell is wrong with you, man? Don't you know that's sexual harassment? You idiot, that damn near ran me across you. Wait, that fire your boss. He don't fire your metallic ass. You would do well to Michael Tommy, Moor.
See? Right there. I'm a Moor.
Come on!
Really? That sounded like he was speaking down to Martin? Really? To me, it sounded like he was just speaking firm to him. But this is subjective. Let's listen to it again.
You would do well to Michael Tommy, Moor.
See? Right there. I'm a Moor.
Come on!
Subjective.
Stop playing with me. Let's run this then. Let's run this. We gonna run it. Run it. Huh? I know he wasn't speaking positively about Martin right there. Huh? Run this. Run it. I'm not playing with you. We talking about scholarship.
This is scholarship? Really? Alright, so I guess I will use movies that used the word more in it to show that more is a positive word. Let's start with the movie The Long Ships from 1964.
Well, there's an end to the Golden Bough. And we're so close. Where are we anyway? Somewhere on the Moorish coast. See if you can get them moving. We've got a lot of work to do.
Well, he did not say Moorish coast in a negative manner.
Get cheering, get back to work.
Were they the Moors? That they were. They don't like giving up. Neither do we.
Well, he did not say the Moorish in a negative manner. Well, if Moor means dull, stupid, and foolish, why would he call where they were civilization?
The rashes will give you an idea. Even if I knew the course, you'd never get there. Why not? I have a ship. Your ship? Forgive me, my lord. I don't mean to be critical, but you Moors don't make very good sailors. For the last day, Newsman.
So he said, you Moors don't make very good sailors. Is that talking down on him, or is he just giving an opinion? Well, we did not find anything negative in the movie The Long Ships. Alright, next let's check the movie Maleficent.
Once upon a time, there were two kingdoms that were the worst of neighbors. So vast was the discord between them that it was said only a great hero or a terrible villain might bring them together. In one kingdom lived folk like you and me, with a vain and greedy king to rule over them. They were forever discontent and envious of the wealth and beauty of their neighbors. For in the other kingdom, the Moors, lived every manner of strange and wonderful creature. For in the other kingdom, the Moors, lived every manner of strange and wonderful creature. For in the other kingdom, the Moors, lived every manner of strange and wonderful creature. And they needed neither king nor queen, but trusted in one another. And they needed neither king nor queen, but trusted in one another. And they needed neither king nor queen, but trusted in one another.
Well, in Maleficent, it definitely does not talk down on the Moors. It actually spoke very positive about the Moors. Next movie is Wild Wild West.
Come on in, gentlemen. I trust you slept well.
What have you done with Rita?
Rita is it? How familiar. Rita is sleeping off the air perfect in the state. She is quite lovely, isn't she? Who knows? I might even become familiar with her myself.
That'd be one more reason for me to kill you.
Oh, yes, Mr. West, I'm sure to a no doubt. Well-endowed, blackamoor like yourself. Well-endowed, blackamoor like yourself. Well-endowed, blackamoor like yourself. It must seem absolutely impossible that a free black me could fully enjoy the pleasure of a woman.
Alright, so in Wild Wild West, the villain called Will Smith's character a well-endowed blackamoor. Was that negative? Nope. Next movie is Celestine Prophecy.
Siente, what's it like?
It's an old ranch, about 1,000 acres. And the owner's family for hundreds of years goes all the way back to the Spanish land grants, the Moors. These days it's a kind of retreat.
Alright, so in Celestine Prophecy, it speaks of the land grants of the Moors. Is that negative? Nope. So that is 4 movies to young Pharaoh's 1 movie. And that 1 movie clip that young Pharaoh showed was subjective.
Bring it! Bring the scholarship! What? I know he ain't call him a king. I know he ain't say nothing positive to him. He called that a Moor. Huh? And was talking down on him. Get out of here. What? So, let me get this straight. Because I'm about to get off this wave now. So the Moors is Aboriginal, Native American, Christian, Islamic Muslims now. And Masons. What? I'm turned. Because I do this shit from right here. We going back to the roots. Shout out TIU Music in LA. Y'all know I love LA. I love LA. What? I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all not gonna walk us. See, when when Malcolm X said, when Martin Luther King said we was getting walked into that burning house, he forgot to tell you that that burning house was a Masonic lodge. And that's where they taking us. That's where they taking us, family. And I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna let them do us like that. Run that. Run that. Tell me the word Moor don't come from Moros. Tell me it don't. You etymological ass. Out of here. That's why they mad. That's why they mad.
It does not come from Moros, M-O-R-O-S. It comes from Maurus, M-A-U-R-U-S. If you only go back to Latin, it really goes back to Moor, M-A-U-R, from ancient Egypt. That was actually very clever of him. The problem is, we did a video about the meaning of Moor months ago, before he even put up his video. Oh, and remember that curveball I spoke about before? Well, it's the 9th inning. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickies. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try? What does Moor mean? This has been a question that many of our people have asked. The problem is that many of our so-called scholars have said that Moor means black when the origin of the word did not. So let's quell this once and for all. First off, let's start with our Superman, our Kal-El, our PhD in Moorish history scholar, Dr. Ben, and hear what he says.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Dr. Ben said we were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. Many people are familiar with M-O-O-R, but not M-A-U-R. If we go to the Hieroglyphics Dictionary by E.A. Wallace Budge, we find that the word Moor, M-A-U-R, is in the book. The meaning is stated as Palermo Stele, the title of the High Priest of Anu. So first off, Moor, M-A-U-R, was on the walls of ancient Hicupta, aka ancient Kemet/ancient Egypt. Second, if we do some research, we find out that Palermo Stele actually means Palermo stone. And this stone was given this name because it was removed from Egypt and brought to a museum at Palermo, Italy. It is also known as Royal Annals of the Old Kingdom in ancient Egypt. If we research this stone deeper, we find out that this stone deals with the first 5 dynasties of ancient Hicupta, aka ancient Kemet, aka ancient Egypt. So that means that the Palermo Stele deals with the Egyptian dynasties from 3100 BCE to 2325 BCE. This is from the Encyclopedia Britannica website. This is from the ancientpages.com website. And check out this PDF on academia.edu for more information as well. So now, let's use some common sense. If we look back into history, the word Moor, M-A-U-R, pops up in Mauritania, Mauryan Empire, and Societas Republicae y Almorecanos Estados. The Mauryan Empire, under Chandragupta, is listed from about 321 BCE to 185 BCE. This is from the Encyclopedia Britannica website. This is from the ancient.eu website. This is from the Wikipedia website. Then there is the Societas Republicae y Almorecanos Estados, which is Latin for the United Association of the Republic of Almorecanos, or the United Republic States of Almorecanos. This is the title of the North American government before the arrival of the Europeans. Next up, all of northern Alkebulan, aka Africa, was known as Mauritania at one point, and this was since 300 BCE. This is from the Wikipedia website. Let's read some of what is said about Mauritania. Mauritania is the Latin name for an area in the ancient Maghreb Tamazgha. It stretched from central present-day Algeria westward to the Atlantic, covering northern Morocco and southward to the Atlas Mountains. Its native inhabitants, semi-nomadic pastoralists of Berber ancestral stock, were known to the Romans as the Mori and the Masazili. Now let's scroll down a bit and see what it says about the Mori people. Mauritania existed as a tribal kingdom of the Berber Mori people. Mori is recorded as the native name by Strabo in the early 1st century. This appellation was also adopted into Latin, whereas the Greek name for the tribe was Moruzi. The Mori people would later bequeath their name to the Moors, M-O-O-R-S, on the Mediterranean coast of North Africa from at least the 3rd century BC. The Mediterranean coast of Mauritania had commercial harbors for trade with Carthage since the 4th century BC, but the interior was controlled by Berber tribes who had established themselves in the region by the beginning of the Iron Age. Well, this is interesting. Once again, the Maori people would later bequeath their name to the Moors, M-O-O-R-S, on the Mediterranean coast of North Africa from at least the 3rd century BC. What does bequeath mean? Bequeath, verb, leave property to a person or other beneficiary by a will. He bequeathed his art collection to the town. Pass something on or leave something to someone else. He ditched the unpopular policies bequeathed to him. Interesting. So that ties into what Dr. Ben was saying when he said,
we were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Dr. Ben said we were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. So common sense should tell us that the knowledge from the high priests of Anu at some point started to spread either through some of the priests leaving Hikupta, aka Egypt, and then spreading their wisdom, and or people coming to Egypt to gain this knowledge through the Egyptian mysteries system, and then going back to their respective areas and teaching others. Hence why all of North Alkebulan, aka Africa, Southwest Asia, and North America all bore the word Moor, M-A-U-R, in their titles. Only a few were privileged to learn the mysteries system. So once you quote-unquote graduated from your 40-year study of the mysteries system in Hikupta, aka Egypt, you became a high priest of Anu, aka a Moor, M-A-U-R. So to be clear, the knowledge of the Moors, M-A-U-R-S, at some point started to spread since BC times. And common sense should also tell us that if they all bore the same title, they must have been unified. And because the high priests of Anu, aka Moors, M-A-U-R-S, were very dark-skinned, when they engaged the Europeans took the title of Moor, M-A-U-R, and gave it the meaning black. And that is what you see in the European language dictionaries today when it says Moor, M-O-H-R, Moro, Moor, M-O-R, etc. It goes back to the Latin word morus, M-A-U-R-U-S. This is from an old German etymology dictionary from 1883. The translation. Moor, M-O-H-R. The M stands for masculinum, which is masculine noun. Schwarze is black. Aus M-H-D, which is from Middle High German. A-H-D is Old High German. Moor, then also masculine noun. Aus M-L-A-T, which is from Medieval Latin or Middle Latin, morus. Moor, M-O-H-E-R. Auch is also, F-R-Z is Französisch, which means French. Moor, I-T-A-L, and S-P-A-N is Italian, and Spanish, Moro. So as you see, Moor in German, French, Italian, and Spanish all go back to Medieval Latin or Middle Latin, morus. So there you have it. When you say that Moor, M-O-O-R, means black, you are literally using the European definition as they understood it. That is what morus, M-A-U-R-U-S, in Middle Latin meant to the European. However, Moor, M-A-U-R, in ancient Hikupta, aka ancient Egypt, was on the walls, and it went back to at least the first 5 Egyptian dynasties, 3100 BCE to 2325 BCE. Its meaning, the title of the high priest of Anu. And these high priests of Anu, Moors, M-A-U-R-S, later left their knowledge to their beneficiaries, Moors, M-O-O-R-S, when Hikupta, aka Egypt, began to fall, and the Moors, M-O-O-R-S, became the custodians of the ancient Egyptian knowledge. So, the meaning or etymology of Moor, M-O-O-R, is Moor, M-A-U-R, the title of the high priest of Anu. Oh, and side note, notice how Moor, M-A-U-R, appears on 3 different continents? From since BC times? Chapter 47, anyone? Common sense was made before book sense. So, young Pharaoh, you are incorrect. And if you dispute the information that we have just presented, you have to now show how Latin was around since at least 3100 BCE. We'll wait.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Isn't it interesting how young Pharaoh be saying,
Remember, family, shh, I'm hunting rabbits. Shh, I'm hunting rabbits.
pretending to be Elmer Fudd, and I guess the wabbits would be the Moors. Yet, isn't it interesting how in the cartoons Elmer Fudd keeps getting outsmarted by the wabbit? Hey, just an observation. So, why would you pretend to be Elmer Fudd instead of Yeah, I'll just leave that one there. Anyway, so young Pharaoh, you say you are about righteousness and the truth. Now that you have been proven wrong about the origin of the title Moor, will you admit that you were wrong and tell your followers that you made a mistake and tell them the truth? Or will you allow your ego to get in the way of your righteousness and not admit you made a mistake? I guess we will find out just how righteous and for the truth you really are. Anyway, this is the last video dealing with this topic. We have better things to do than to go over the same topics over and over and over again, addressing the same antagonists. And to the Moors that keep engaging in the fruitless back and forth with these guys, if that's what you want to do your thing. It's all love. So that's it. Let's see just how righteous and for the truth young Pharaoh is. And if Mr. Sara Suten Seti stops running from these Dr. Ben videos and addresses them, and answers why he is misrepresenting and disrespecting his deceased master teachers, and also condoning young Pharaoh's disrespect of them too. And supreme honors to Canaanland Moors' present-day Moorish master adept teachers, in no particular order. Oh, and one more thing. Okay. Olive skin. Let's see what we find. Click on images. Scroll down a bit. Oh look, there's Rihanna in the corner. All right, let's click on this one and see what it says. Do Italians tend to have olive skin? Nah, let's close that up. Let's choose something different. Let's go back to the top and choose, say, this one. The best foundations for olive skin tones. Yeah, let's check that out. Okay. Yeah. Wait a second. Yeah. Olive skin. Olive skin.
So when you see that's white people. That's all that it is. That's a Greek, Mediterranean, Turkish person that they worship. Man, listen, this better than Netflix. This better than Netflix, baby. Do you hear what I'm saying? This better than World Star. This right here is the
Straight from the horse's mouth. Priceless.